This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Aegis Capital 2015 Investment Growth Conference in Las Vegas. I have with me Dennis Gilles, U.S. Geothermal Inc. It's a publicly traded company, HTM, on the New York. Dennis, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thank you, Shelley. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you back.
Thanks.
Let's get into it. Let's do an overview on geothermal to begin.
Well, geothermal energy, U.S. Geothermal, is a renewable energy company. Our source of the renewable energy is geothermal. We drill down into the ground as if you were drilling for oil or gas, except we intersect hot water or steam. We bring it up to the surface, we take the energy out of it, we put the water back into the ground where it's reheated again and brought back up, and we take the energy out of it. And it's just a loop like that.
So where is it located? Where are you working? Because I guess that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, our company right now has 3 operating power plants, one in the state of Oregon. It's the first geothermal plant in the state of Oregon. One in the state of Idaho. It's the first geothermal plant in Idaho. We're also in the state of Nevada, and that's where our 3 operating plants are. In addition to that, we have development that's ongoing in California, additional development in Oregon, additional development in Nevada, and we're developing down in Guatemala.
You know, what you hear about on the West Coast is there is no water, that there's a water shortage in the aquifer, especially in California. So is there any relationship to the lack of water in California to the fact that you're finding hot water?
You know, that's a great question, actually. In California, in the western United States, or wherever geothermal is extracted, there's a huge difference. The water that we're extracting is well below the aquifer that's used for domestic use. Typical water for domestic use is very shallow. It's in the say 50 to a couple of hundred feet deep, no deeper than 1,000 feet. We're down plus 1,000 feet. We're down 2,500 to 3,000 feet deep, on down to 10,000 feet deep. So the water that we're extracting is boiling, and it's above boiling temperature. It's typically 250 degree Fahrenheit. It's north of 250 degree Fahrenheit. I think our coolest project is about 280 degree Fahrenheit. So you wouldn't want that water coming down your pipes. It'll just come out as steam.
So now, you say, in developing an energy source from geothermal means, don't you need specialized equipment to control the temperature, bringing it out of the ground and putting it back in?
Well, and that's where we use the rigs that we use to drill the hot water or to drill the steam are very similar. Actually, they're the same rigs that are used in oil and gas drilling. So the equipment is designed for high temperature drilling. We go in, once we've drilled the well is completely cased with steel all the way to the surface, and then it has the piping that takes it into the turbine where we extract the energy out of it, is all designed for those high temperatures. It's put back into the ground. As it's put back into the ground, it's a relatively low temperature fluid at that point, but it's put back into that same deep depth that it's extracted from. So the whole system is designed for the higher temperatures.
So you're actually recycling the fuel.
That's exactly right, and that's why it's considered a renewable energy. The fuel that comes out is what we're extracting is the heat. We're not consuming the water. We're consuming the heat that's in the water, and then we're returning it to be reheated where we can extract that heat again.
So let's talk about the grid and how you supply the grid. What's the cost basis of your grid supply, and how close do you have to be to the grid? What are those logistics? I know I'm asking you like a multi-part question,
Sure,
but take it from there.
Sure. In order for our power to go, our power goes into the electric grid. We provide our power and we sell our power to large utilities. It's sold under a 25-year contract, so it's sold for a long time with a fixed price. But in order to do that, you typically have to have your project located relatively close to where the electric grid is. Otherwise, you incur a huge cost in order to transmit that electricity to that electric grid. So as we look to develop projects, we look for ones that are ideally in close proximity to the electric grid. The project we're developing in Guatemala, as an example, the high voltage lines run right across our property. So that is an ideal location because your interconnection cost is almost negligible in order to get connected into that grid, just as an example. The project we're developing in California up in the geysers, it has the electrical transmission lines running right across our property again that we would be connecting into. So again, that allows you to have a very low interconnection cost. So that's what we typically look for. There's other opportunities we have looked at acquiring, and their proximity is far from the grid, so we will set those aside for another day.
We're an investor audience. I'm sure that they're saying, Shelley, ask this question. Talk about kilowatts. What's sort of the production of kilowatts on an annual basis generally speaking?
Well, our collective power plants put out 45 megawatts, which is each megawatt's 1,000 kilowatts, so 45,000 kilowatts per hour of generation. So what that is roughly 45,000 households of power that are provided from our facilities. So it's a pretty sizable amount.
How do you compare your cost of power to the cost of your competitive power sources, let's say oil, let's say nuclear, and wind?
Well, I would say geothermal power is comparable to, it's less expensive than nuclear power. It's comparable to wind power. It used to be less expensive than natural gas power, but natural gas prices have really fallen off recently. So I would say natural gas is more competitive today than geothermal. Natural gas, though, you can't go out and buy 25-year power from natural gas because of the uncertainty of what its price is going to be in the future. With geothermal power, however, we can provide that price certainty, and we can provide a 25-year certain power price. Solar power was far more expensive than us. There's two types of solar: concentrated solar and photovoltaic, which is the type on your rooftops. The concentrated solar were less expensive than the photovoltaic type has really come off in price to where it's very economical now and is less expensive than us. The big place that we differentiate, though, is though we're more expensive than that technology, we generate 98% of the time. So there's certainty. These lights are on right now. There's certainty that we could be providing the electricity for those. Solar power, as long as there's not a cloud passing overhead and it's a sunny day, you have solar generation. Wind power, if it happens to be windy outside, you can happen to have your lights on. With geothermal, we can provide that certainty that you're going to have electricity, and that's one of the things that makes us attractive to the utilities and the municipalities that purchase our power.
2016 is almost here. Where do you see the company?
I see the company continuing to grow. We have 4 projects in active development. The collective sum of those 4 add up to 95 megawatts. So we're 45 right now. If we add that 95 to it over the next couple of years, we've essentially tripled the size of the company. In addition to that, we have 4 other project sites that are waiting in the wings to be developed, but you can only develop so many things at once. We're also actively out doing mergers and acquisitions, looking for other opportunities to what I've noted previously, and we're very optimistic that many of those will come about. So I see our company growing. We're very profitable. We've had 12 quarters of profitability now, and positive cash flows. We're a rock solid company, no pun intended.
And you're heating up.
And we're getting hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a website out there, please.
Our website is www.usgeothermal.com. And our ticker again is HTM.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Gilles, U.S. Geothermal Inc., it's a publicly traded company, HTM. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Aegis Capital 2015 Investment Growth Conference in Las Vegas. Dennis.
Thank you, Shelley.